Welcome everyone to Week 9 Fantasy Football Weather Guys. Today I am joined with Sean Bratton, our on-staff meteorologist, and Dr. Nicholas Schiraldi, our analytic genius. How are you guys? Halfway through the season.
Halfway. We made it through this crazy year. We're halfway through the season, more than halfway through for the fantasy season, but excited to be back for our week number 9.
Yeah, we've certainly had a lot of weather this season, which seems a little bit abnormal, right?
Yeah, and especially last week was, for any of you who watched the Cleveland Raiders game, weather was out of control and had a huge impact.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't see a quarterback throw over 300 yards in our 5 games we talked about last week. Aaron Rodgers did do the best as expected, but we really want to focus on 2 of the games that were really impactful, and that was the Raiders-Cleveland game, which was the most impacted. If anyone took the under on that game, well done. That game was a windy game. And then we had the New England at Buffalo, which they ended up they did go over, getting over the over, but it still was a pretty impactful game. Nick, what were you saying about the weather at the game, the winds at the Cleveland game?
Yeah, in Cleveland, the highest reported gust during game time was 43 miles per hour, and the sustained winds were about 30 miles per hour. So that's, trying to play football in that kind of wind is just insane. And we saw that with some of the kickers, right? The ball was just doing insane things from even 30, 40 yards out.
Yeah, you could tell one of the field goal kicker legitimately was aiming at the right goalpost, and it was a 35-yard field goal, and completely shifted to the left, and he missed it. And the QBs were the big focal point here. You had David Carr, only 112 yards, 1 TD. Baker Mayfield, only 122 yards, no picks, but no touchdowns. You had 1 touchdown by a quarterback in that game, only 22 points scored. The over-under going into this game was like low 50s. And this was, if you were there, people were talking about the weather. So I think Colin's showing the video here.
Well, I'm about to bring it up for our
Raiders
guests.
Attempting, this is a 41-yarder, so it was a little bit longer.
Yep, so I'm going to...
but it completely shifted in the wind, and it completely missed it.
Crazy. Another interesting thing about this game is that the temperature actually dropped a full 10 degrees from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And so these players were warming up, and, maybe it was pretty comfortable out, but it got pretty chilly as the game went on, too.
Yeah, and they got basically all 4 seasons in this game. It was rainy, and then it was sunny, and then it was snowing. They had some snow flurries as well, and even somewhat. And I heard some of the players and some of the announcers refer to this as hail. That was sleet. It was not hail. Hail is something usually we see in when we have convection or thunderstorms. Sleet is more of a wintry type of precipitation, and it has to do with the vertical profile of temperature in the atmosphere. But you basically got a little bit of everything in this game that was just incredibly impactful.
So hail, more summer effect. If it looks like hail, but it's a winter effect, it's most likely sleet, even if it's round little balls.
Yeah, and typically people use these terms interchangeably, sleet and hail, but the actually atmospheric process for creating this precipitation is very different.
Well, we need to get those announcers' lexicons correct with the weather terms. So,
yeah,
moving on to this week, we are kind of monitoring one game. It's kind of a quiet week, so not always going to have the crazy weather weeks that we are hoping for to have the weather weenies on staff get excited. But I will bring up our weather impact table for the viewers.
So right now it's a tropical depression Eta, but it's going to strengthen a little bit as it moves northeast towards Cuba. So there are 2 games that could be impacted by both rain and some wind associated with what will be Tropical Storm Eta. As Tropical Storm Eta starts to move northeast, you can see it gets its center around Cuba by 12 p.m. on Sunday, and then starts to move a little bit northwest. What's interesting about this is even though they're locating the storm center over Cuba at 12 p.m. Sunday, the rain, most of the precipitation is going to be on the northern side of the storm, pushing into Florida. So both the Tampa Bay and Jacksonville games may be in play for some precipitation and possibly wind. Right now, the National Weather Service is forecasting a 60% chance of rain in Jacksonville throughout the game. And they're forecasting close to a tenth of an inch of precipitation, which can be significant for a football game, especially in the South. You know, it can affect players' footings, quarterbacks. There's a lot of issues we see with a rain that kind of is steady throughout the game, which is what the National Weather Service is leaning towards. If you pull up the other graphic I sent you, Colin, the European Center's forecast here is a little bit more bullish. So what we're looking at is precipitation and pressure. So where you see the blues and the purples, there's more rain falling in the purples than the blues. And you can see the center of the storm there is right over Cuba, as we have been discussing. So the ECMWF, the European Center's forecast, is starting to push the rain bands north towards Jacksonville. And this is at game time. And they're starting to show these rain bands sort of moving through during game time. Because of where Jacksonville is positioned relative to the storm and the heaviest rain, this is what we kind of call a high bust potential forecast, meaning the models really aren't good at resolving sort of the precipitation shield or where the end of the precipitation is going to be associated with these tropical storms. So if some of these rain bands do work their way into Jacksonville, we may see some impacts, but there's also a really good chance that the rain never really gets as far north as Central Florida, maybe Orlando area. So this is going to be a really tricky forecast to watch play out throughout the end of the week here.
Yeah, and I kind of agree that I'm not incredibly bullish that we're going to get a whole lot of precipitation in Jacksonville. I think if we do, I think it's going to be relatively shorter lived. With these rain bands, they are fairly unpredictable with tropical disturbances. But like Nick mentioned, you know, the National Weather Service is as of now saying we are going to have some rain at some point moving through that area. And the thing is if it does come down, it could come down relatively heavy for a period of time. And these are grass fields, so we know that these could get muddy. Players can lose traction in the feet. They can't get the yards after the catch. So we could be looking at some potential impacts here. We'll start with the Jacksonville game. And actually, we have a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback starting for us on Jacksonville. Jake Luton is going to be starting for Jacksonville in place of Gardner Minshew, who's dealing with some injuries. And this game right now is set to be at a 50.5 over under. Texans are favored by 7 in this one. And I don't know. I mean, I want Jake to do well. He's a 6th-round draft pick. He was like, Colin, what'd you tell me? 100 and what?
89
overall?
189th.
189. So we're talking about maybe a future Tom Brady here. I don't know. Yeah. But the Texans have been awful on defense, giving up 30, even potential 40 points pretty much week after week. The only time they actually did okay as a defense was against Jacksonville, where they only gave up 14 points. But I do expect him to get some throws here. But what we do notice is in weather, rookie players with not a lot of experience and also players that maybe aren't the most athletic, usually the ones that perform the most poorly in weather. So I don't have high expectations for Jake Luton this week. And so maybe some of the pass catchers in Jacksonville I'm not super high on. On the other side of the ball, I'm happy playing Deshaun Watson this week. I think he's going to be able to move the ball. I think they're going to score some points. Right now they're projected to get around 25, 30 points. So I think there's some points to be scored on the Texan side, including maybe Darren Fells, where we see about a 15% increase in productivity for tight ends in these weather conditions.
The problem with Darren Fells, though, is you never can predict touchdowns. And you kind of live and die with a tight end like Darren Fells on the Texans' mediocre at best offense. And I say that from watching them. Not, one of my friends is a Texans fan, and not really stat wise, but when I watch them, I just feel like you have Mr. Glass, Fuller, who I'm terrified anytime he gets hit, and we'll see what happens here at this game.
Yeah, I mean they're just coming off of their bye, and when he played against Jacksonville last time, he scored almost 13 points in our league. Then he played Tennessee, had 18 points. He played against Baltimore and had almost 10 points. But Colin, to your point, when he's done well, he's gotten a touchdown. He hasn't eclipsed the 100-yard mark. The most yards he's gotten this year is 85. But if they're able to move the ball, which Vegas is predicting they do, obviously he's a red zone target. So I wouldn't be opposed to playing Fells this upcoming week against a not so great 28th ranked or 27th ranked Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, and in fantasy, I believe, I just had it up, Fells is actually like $4,200, I think, which to me, there's some upside there possibly. I'm just pulling it up right now.
I agree. I mean, he's a little bit boomer bust, but that's to be expected at the position really week in and week out, unless you have a Travis Kelce type of player to slot in there. It's always a crapshoot with the tight end.
So,
Nick, did you have any more information on the Jacksonville game that you wanted to add? Hello?
Nick, are you muted?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was muted.
That's okay.
I was just saying, I was surprised when I heard Minshew was out and I was looking at the depth chart. I saw Jake Luton. Who the hell's that? But they also have Mike Glennon, on the team, who is a veteran and has some starts under his belt. But yet they're going with the rookie. I don't know. I thought that was a bit of an interesting dynamic for this game.
Yeah, and he may be on a short leash. So I was looking on DraftKings. I believe he was around $4,900.
Yeah, I think $4,900.
Yeah, he's $4,900.
Yeah.
So, that's a really low price tag to be playing for a starting QB. But with that being said, he may have a short leash. Will he play the whole game? There may be some weather. You're paying a low price tag, but you may get what you pay for here with Jake Luton. But I'm hopeful for, I want him to do well. I just don't know if this is going to be the matchup for the rookie QB. His first time taking an NFL snap.
Yeah, and I think my call on this game will be that there will be some weather impacts, so I definitely would stay away from the rookie.
And then later on at night, we do have the Saints playing Tampa, big rivalry. What do you think there? Breeze. I can't believe we're even talking about questioning sitting Drew Brees.
I've been sitting him all season. I've been playing Justin Herbert.
That is just unbelievable. I mean, I guess I just feel old when I hear things like that.
We've talked about Drew Brees, a couple of past shows. His weather performance, his production does drop. He loses some value in terms of overall points. If there is any rain in this game, I think it hurts Drew Brees. I don't know what the wide receiver core looks like this week, but I would stay away from Drew Brees as well. I think if there's any rain, there's a lot of downside to his performance, and there could be wind in this one too. So I think all of the Florida games I might stay away from just because of the forecast uncertainty at this point in the week.
Yeah, I mean, I can bring up the analytics on Drew Brees if we want to talk about it a little bit. If not, I mean, like you said, there's really only 4 impacted games that he kind of sees the rain, and I did that wrong. So maybe we don't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, what's super interesting about Brees this year is we kind of have this perception about Drew Brees because he started the season so abysmal. He did not do well to start the season against Tampa Bay. He only got 23 fantasy points in our league, which is well below normal. And then against Las Vegas, he only got around 24. But then after that, he got 37, he got 26, 32, 35, 32. So, other than maybe one game, he's been doing better. But the big thing is he's playing against the Tampa defense, which has been a stout defense. Daniel Jones got picked off 2 times against the Tampa Bay defense on Monday. Drew Brees has thrown a few more interceptions this year. If there is some weather, I do think there may be some higher chance or highly likelihood of maybe some turnovers by Drew Brees. But you have Michael Thomas coming back. At least that's the report.
Who else do you have coming back?
He was limited on Thursday, but he was limited today, I think.
I mean, talking about people coming back.
I think he's really going to try to make a push to play, but
talking about people coming back in this game, Antonio Brown. Does that open up Mike Evans? Does Antonio Brown provide a weapon for Tom Brady? I read an article that Tampa Bay was very impressed with his shape, that he came to work, that he actually came to work. He's ready to go. I think it'd be interesting, too. I mean, that's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I saw a developing storyline today, potentially, that Breeze didn't practice again for the second straight day, which is kind of rare for him, especially this late in the week. Have you guys heard anything about whether or not he's got an injury going on?
He does have a questionable tag right now. It's his right shoulder. He has been limited during Wednesday, and he was limited today. So yesterday and today. We'll see if he practices tomorrow. I'm more in the frame. I think he's going to play. I think Drew Brees is a pretty tough guy. And I think unless it's something really monumental, he's going to make an effort to play. But I think we need to get a little bit more information. I think he'll be limited again on Friday, and he'll play on Sunday. But
also with another, I don't know if they're reporting Kamara also supposedly on a possible watch list for a toe for a foot, but he seems to be playing too.
Yeah, it was a stubbed toe.
Yeah,
that's what he got a tag for, because he stubbed his toe.
Well, I mean,
ask crazy. That must have been a hell of a stub. Because,
I will say, ask Shaq about toe injuries. A big toe injury almost took Shaq out for a whole season. I think he was down, and I forgot where he was when it happened, but he had a big toe injury, and it almost took him out for the whole season.
Yeah, but to kind of get back to AB here, Antonio Brown, this is super interesting with Godwin out. You got Mike Evans, you got Scotty Miller, you got Gronk, you got AB. You going against the Saints defense, passing defense, which has been a little bit more susceptible this year. They are ranked 17th, giving up around 240 yards per game. I think Tom Brady's going to want to be slinging the ball in this game. The over-under on this is 51.5, with Tampa Bay favored by 4. So I think there's some points to be scored here. I think they're going to ease AB back in, but I think he's going to get targets.
Yeah.
I know some people that are playing him in even a 3 wide receiver league. They're slotting him in there and just down. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened this week.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Tom Brady is another quarterback that really doesn't seem to be affected by weather. Played outside all his career in New England. There's a lot of good sample we could pull from. So we're not really worried about Tom Brady's performance if it is rainy and windy, really in any capacity.
So to wrap up. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, no, I was actually just going to wrap up the week with one other game that we're kind of watching with the gusty winds of the plains, and it's not even that gusty. But I was going to move on to the Kansas City Panthers game.
Yeah, just a quick summary before we go there. With Saints, if Michael Thomas is playing, you got to play Michael Thomas. But I'm worried against the tough Tampa Bay defense in weather, coming back from an injury. If you got to watch the injury report, but I'm a little scared to be playing him this week. Obviously, you play him if he's there, but don't expect big things this week from Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara, I think he's going to be a go. I see him having a big game. I think they're going to have to rely on Alvin Kamara in this game, and I think he's going to have a big game for them. On the Tampa Bay side,
Mike Evans.
I think Mike Evans is still going to get work.
Yeah. I was going to say Mike Evans. I was going to say you have AB now lining up. I think they're finding their rhythm. Tom Brady and Mike Evans. You got Gronk being a threat now, more in a slot. He's doing pretty well game to game. I think Mike Evans is a definite play.
Yeah, and we know that Tom Brady plays best when he's passing the ball around to all of his options. And I think we're going to see that on Sunday night. I think you're going to see AB get involved. If you have him, I would say play him. Gronk, I think he's getting touchdowns like crazy now. He's a red zone target. Play him. Mike Evans, we saw him being targeted in the red zone when they played the Giants. I think he's a playable asset here as well. I'm really liking the pass catchers here, including Gronk, AB, and Evans in this one.
So now moving on to
including Tom Brady. If you got Tom Brady, blame.
Sean is he loves talking fantasy. Just moving on to The next game, our last game, we're watching. Not saying that there's really any caution here yet, but there could be some winds to look at. Right now, they're around 15 to 17 miles an hour at the Kansas City game. Panthers.
Yeah, right.
Panthers at Kansas City.
Yeah, the Panthers are traveling to KC for this one. We're noticing the models back off a little bit on the wind, so they're not being as bullish with the winds. This is associated with a front that's developing just to the east of the Rockies, so lee of the Rockies. And so we have a storm spinning up over Montana, and there's a trailing front, and some winds are supposed to pick up over the central plains into the northern plains. But I think it's having a little bit trouble developing. So I don't anticipate this to be a very impactful game. So Colin's bringing up our wind map now. And if we go forward in time to 18Z on Sunday, there we go. And so we're looking at right over the heartland between Kansas and Missouri is where we're going to be looking at our winds. So, yep, just a few more time steps here. Right there, if you could scroll down. So it looks like a lot of the heavier winds are off to the west. So it's still developing. It's off to the west. I think these are going to diminish as this front moves east a little bit. I don't, even on here, it's not showing up as an orange as a caution yet. So I think if there is some wind here, I like Kelsey. I like Hill. They have performed well in weather games with Patrick Mahomes. On the other side of the ball, the Panthers, I think Robbie Anderson's going to continue to get targets. Is Christian McCaffrey going to play? That's a little bit of a question mark still. I don't know if they're going to push him to play, but Mike Davis is a good option here. I'd be playing Christian McCaffrey if he's in there. DJ Moore, I have him. I'm actually thinking about sitting him, still deciding. But again, I don't think weather is going to be the headline in this game. I think they're going to play how they're going to play, especially right now. The over-under in that game is 52.5 points. With the KC favored by 10.5. So
I would take the over.
Take that for what it's worth.
Great. Is there anything else you guys want to add this week, or we'll call it a week? I think to recap, we do see maybe some potential weather impacts from tropical depression. I'm going to say that right. Eta. In the Jacksonville game, Houston at Jacksonville, that possibly may linger around at night for the Saints at Tampa game. And then we were also looking at the maybe winds being a potential, maybe not impact to Kansas City. If you want to follow us, and stay up to date, follow us at FFWeatherguys on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We'll be posting these videos on YouTube and tweeting about any possible changes. Before we close, do you guys want to say anything else, or are we ready to call it a night?
No, yeah, just keep up to date. We usually use Twitter to update on weather conditions. So come Sunday, if that rain banding looks, we're more confident in it, we'll make sure to notify you and specify some impacts. But other than that, good luck to everybody. We only have a few weeks here before we have to start worrying about playoffs. So good luck to everybody this week.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.